Hello and welcome to Crusher Talk. I'm your friend, Hayley Crusher Kane. I'm currently sitting outside in beautiful Atascadero, California at my dad's house. It's green, it's lush, there's beautiful hillsides everywhere, and I'm watching these little chihuahuas sniff around and do whatever the heck they do. Gidget is very interested in eating grass today, which makes me think that she has been getting some of, maybe too much of the chicken skin and other fatty things that we've been giving her brother, Peyton Manning, because he just went to the vet and he is 2 pounds down from the last weigh-in. So we're trying to fatten that boy up. And Gidget's getting a little bit of the residual chubbiness. Chub. We just recorded in LA. I was talking to a friend last night. We were at the Elks Lodge hot tub for a friend's birthday, and a friend of mine was like, "Oh, well, how did you have music to record? Like, what bandmates did you use?" And I always forget that. I think the idea that most people have in their heads about recording, this is the idea I had in my head about recording when I first started doing it, is that we're all in a room together, we're all bouncing off each other, that's all very nice, and I've done it. I have to say, I've done that, where you're more or less playing, some parts live at the same time as your bandmates, and that can be really energizing. It can also be really crazy because you have to take a lot of takes, but weirdly, the time that we really went hard on doing it that way, we recorded everything to tape, analog. So we had less takes. That would be Cool Lame. Cool Lame or Vintage Millennial. Yeah, Cool Lame, I think. Vintage Millennial wasn't to tape, was it? I don't remember. It was one of those two. Both of those were recorded in Oakland in a studio warehouse by Bart Thurber, or studio in a warehouse, I guess I should say. And a lot of that was simultaneous and trying to make sure that we are all getting the parts and, jamming in the same room. But more or less, that is not how, I guess less, much less, that is not how it happens these days for us, especially since we are always traveling. We have tracks that we got in from Ryan and our drummer Stacy, who's been working with us in Detroit, and those have been great. And so those were sent into the LA studio, Kitten Robot Studios, owned by our fabulous Kitten Robot Records label head, Josie Cotton, and all around interesting and beautiful person. And so we took those tracks from Detroit, and I was able to sing over those and really focus a lot on vocals. So it was mostly a vocal session. It was all day. This weekend on a Saturday, went in around 10, set up, and just went for it and tried to get down as many songs as we had ready. There were a couple songs that we didn't have good enough mixes yet for me to sing over, but I did sing over some rough mixes for the first time. Normally when I record this way, I have the mix in my ears is pretty similar. It's pretty similar to what's going to be happening on the record, the finished record, which is interesting. I didn't think it would be such a big deal to record my vocals over rough mixes. I thought, I've done this a million times. How could it be that different? But the way your voice sits in a mix when it's not super layered well, or not well, I guess I should say. I mean, everything was totally adequate, but not layered as sparkly as it would be in a more finished kind of mix. It does feel weird. I was noticing I feel like it made all of my edges more glaring because the music was not meeting me at the point that it normally meets me, at the level it normally meets my voice, if that makes sense. So that was interesting. We also worked for the most part with John Miller, who is our sometimes lead guitar player in LA, who lives just a couple blocks from Kitten Robot Studios, which, by the way, is in historic Filipino town. Yes, there is a historic Filipino town in LA. He lives just like a couple blocks away. And he was really running the board this time. So he came in as a lead guitarist. He would be in the studio. And so that's how we introduced him to the Kitten Robot's regular producer, Paul Rossler, who is, an early punk rock producer who came up in the first wave of punk in LA, founding member of the Screamers, works with, played in 45 Grave, TSOL, working with all these cool people, Josie Cotton, as well as Richie Ramone and all sorts of cool people. So he's absolutely like, we were like dying to work with this guy. So Paul has always been our guy, and Paul does a lot of things. I mean, most everything excellently. The problem is sometimes, as our band is a little bit more, maybe we don't always need it to be excellent, I guess. I don't know if I want to say we're more lowbrow or more campy or what, but we noticed that John he's also an engineer and went to school for it. And we had given him a couple random songs to mix and to kind of pump up and get the kick drum higher and really make those vocals sit on top and do all the pop stuff that Dr. Kane and I like. And these are things that are, can be in direct opposition to the sensibilities of somebody who came up in music, throughout the ages and has an ear for vinyl, has an ear for how things are going to sound, integrated and lush and beautiful, which is what Paul does so well. He creates this wall of sound that is a wall of sound of lushness, not a Phil Spector kind of wall of sound. So for Unsubscribe, when we did, was it Unsubscribe? I'm not sure what song it was that actually really clicked, where we went, you know what, if we can combine this incredible multi-decades worth of experience and great taste and great ear of Paul and sensitivity to the nuances of the music and the ability to integrate keys and to throw on great backing vocals and make decisions about, I think a good example of this might be She Drives. If you listen to that song, I mean, the way it's orchestrated, the way all of these elements come together so smoothly and beautifully, that's all Paul. Like, that's all Paul. Another good example is the song Cul-de-sac. Really, the Modern Adult Kicks, that whole album is so beautiful and shines because of Paul. And he has this magic touch. So if we can combine that with a little bit more of this, I guess for lack of better words, maybe like high contrast or punchy. Punchy is the word I keep coming to. Kind of punchy ear that John Miller has, the more of a modern ear, I suppose, and kind of combine the sensibilities of these two very talented people, one, much younger, one with a lot more experience. What could we get out of that, right? So we sort of were thinking about that with a few tracks that we've done here and there. When we did like Lust for Life, that cover, the Iggy and the Stooges cover, or Iggy Pop, I guess. And what else did we do? There were a couple things we did with just kind of throwing him some songs, and John was able to just bring the sound to a more powerful and in-your-face kind of place that we were looking for. So this is the first time we've really had John behind the mixing board, calling the shots, doing the takes, thinking about how the songs are going to present in the end. And Paul was there the whole time. It was fun because Paul wasn't working so much. He was able to hang out and regale us with all sorts of funny stories and facts. Like, he's just such an interesting and smart guy that every time, he comes into the studio and we get the pleasure to work with him, it's very, we come away with like a knowledge of something we'd never even heard of before. For instance, he took one look at Gidget and said, "This dog looks just like an apex predator that you find, I believe it's in Ecuador." And I said, "There is no way that Gidget can look like an apex predator of any kind." Well, I was wrong, because he pulled up his phone and showed me the animal he was speaking of, which was a fossa. I'm going to put that in the show notes. Fossas are this incredible animal. I guess they're like the biggest, they're one of the biggest apex predators in the jungle or something. I'm not describing this very well, but they are related to the mongoose. And it looks like a bear, it looks like a cat, it looks like a weasel, it looks like a baby deer, it looks like it looks like Gidget, okay? He also has just a great sense of humor. And then Bruce Duff, the label multi-hat Mad Hatter of Kitten Robot was there as well to kind of hang out and also regale us with stories. Has many, many years in LA working at various labels and various bands, and he's always great to have around, and somehow always manages to get on one of our songs. He got on the song Alleyways doing the gang vocal with the hey chant, and he got on another, I think it was, what was the chant? There was a chant that he did in the studio over the weekend. I can't remember what the word was. It wasn't hey this time. It wasn't whoa. It wasn't claps. I'm blanking. I don't remember. So he was there. And then Ginger, who is Screeching Weasel's current lead guitar player, who's a wild Italian kind of very polite and sweet person and like goofy, good-natured person, but has the look of, I don't know, a Joey Ramone mixed with maybe like, I don't know, not Ted Nugent, but somebody with long hair and long, flowing, beautiful hair. And we really admired his work on tour. He's such a great performer, but he's also just a great hang. And so having him in the studio just throwing some guitar licks down on a song was really cool. We knew we wanted to, have a cameo, especially since he lives so nearby as well. We thought, well, how often are we in LA? He's living in LA with the Weasel tour manager. And so we just thought, let's see what happens, right? That's actually Reed's idea. So good on Dr. Kane for that. Ginger came down and was awesome. And he was just, it was funny, like when he wasn't recording, which was like probably 20, maybe even 15, 20 minutes of the entire thing. I think we set up the amp, the Marshall, and got that all set up, and that took longer than his actual recording because he was just doing a quick solo, but he ended up staying all day. And I would catch him time to time going into the back area where there's like a little living space. I'd go out there to get tea or water, whatever. God, I never pee more than at a vocal session because I'm just lubing up my voice and just praying that I don't get hoarse. But I would see him sitting with Paul and Bruce just in rapt attention, like, oh, really? Listening to their crazy stories. And afterward, he was like, it's like listening to two music historians just shoot the shit. And I have to say, it kind of is like that. If you've ever been around someone that has lived it and walked the walk and talks the talk, it's really fun to just be a fly on the wall. So that was nice that he was able to come. And let's see what else. That night, we were really stoked to be able to go see one of my favorite bands. They're called Color TV out of Los Angeles. They only have about 4 songs online, but we've played with them a handful of times. And I just love their sound. They have this great 80s kind of power poppy, modern, almost like Cars vibe. And they have a keyboardist that's really fun. She was doing like these little dance moves, and she's hilarious. She actually has a side project that's sort of a performance art thing that I'll link as well. And then the lead singer, Tipper, is very like Chrissy Hines. She reminds me a little bit of Chrissy Hines. Just really commanding, more of a deeper vocal register, and just really punchy, almost intimidating. She wore a men's suit and just looked fabulous as she was playing her guitar. And that's a band I never get to see, That's a band that hasn't, God, they had a 7-year hiatus, and they've been working on a record for all this time. And I know Tipper's in the entertainment industry, so I think she's one of those, those people where music isn't, they're innately good at music and songwriting in particular. Her songs are great, and the way she puts them together is chef's kiss. But she's really just talented at that. But she focuses most of her time on making films, and I know she's been in things and just part of that world. And not to say you can't have multiple talents or passions or be good at multiple things, but I'm like, girl, I want a record from you. In some ways, I told her, I'm like, I think I'm making this record because you never made yours, or you're still working on yours. And I haven't played with a band in years that inspired me as much as Color TV. So take that. as you will, because I'm so sorry you guys can't actually listen and binge them, because they only have like 4 songs, and I think one of them's a Christmas song. But trust me, and their new lineup, because I haven't seen them since 2017 when we played together, is just out of control good. If you get a chance to see them, I know they're playing out more in the LA area, so do get out if you can see any of their concert dates pop up. So give them a follow or something. So we got to do that. Then we got to go to Philippe's, the old standby for French dip, and a place my Aunt Susie has been going to for 82 years, which she mentioned many times in the visit, which I think is hilarious. Because if you've been hanging out at a joint for 82 years, you should be allowed to say it like 10 times. She got us a delicious lunch, treated us to a feast, really, and got that signature hot mustard that I hold so dear. If you know, you know. Philippe's is the best French dip. Kohl's is just an imposter. Macaroni salad, pickled beets. What else did we do? Yeah, the pickled beets were a new idea, and they were good. I mean, everything there is just as it has been forever. Macaroni salad, classic. Pickles, fantastic pickles. Sawdust on the floor, peanuts, shells, whatnot. What else? That's kind of what's been going on over here. Just that's been the big lead up to really getting these songs together, and one step closer to finishing a actual record. Holy crap. How did we get there? It seems like it goes from 0 to the messy middle really quick, and then you're in the messy middle for like what feels like 10 years, but of course it's like a year or two, and then you just kind of get yourself out of the messy middle into a literal like finished product coming out, and with the art being commissioned, and just knowing that that's our first single is going to come out in April. It's like, what the heck? How did we get here? That's very much how it feels. I think I will share a couple things that I thought about when I was in the studio that was helpful for me. For anybody out there that's got the red light fever, or anybody who is new to it, I would say one of the best things I've ever done is really, do a bored take. So do a take where you're kind of like Debbie Harry and you're a little bored, just be a little bored. When you throw things away, when you throw it away, sometimes the take is much more real. It's hard to describe because you think it's going to come off flat, but really it's got all the zhuzh of you and what you bring to it, but it's just, you're not forcing it as hard. So the board take, always do a board take. I also like to do a wacky take. It's kind of like my philosophy about photo booths. I do crazy, sexy, cool, which is a great TLC album, by the way. Don't go chasing waterfalls. So you do a board take, you do a wacky take where you're just really intense. This time we did a song where I had a whisper take. Don't be afraid to vary, what you're doing, and just kind of see what happens. Like have the guts to play with it and not feel dumb. Because when you're in the vocal booth, you can sometimes just feel stupid. I mean, you're very isolated from what's happening outside. Like there was this particular song where I did the whisper vocal, which was recommended by John. So I did it thinking, okay, whatever. But, I felt kind of stupid. The song itself is very much a departure for stuff we do. It's a little bit more on the, I don't know if you guys know the band Garbage from the 90s. It's a little more like that. Stupid Girl is a good reference for that song, with sort of a robot drum beat kind of vibe, a little bit more clubby. And so I'm already feeling like this song's kind of different and weird. I know that everybody can kind of hear me on the outside with the raw vocal, and the raw vocal, I never want to hear the raw vocal. I just want to hear the reverby, smoothed out vocal in my earphones. So I'm knowing they're hearing the raw vocal, I'm like, oh my God. And then only later after the session did I hear from Dr. Kane. He's like, oh, everybody perked up when you started doing that whisper song. And they're like, oh, this is really compelling. Like, this is interesting. It's departure, but it's cool. And like, in my mind, I'm in this isolated little box feeling all my feelings of insecurity. And I think there's some wisdom there in that, you know, whatever's happening in your mind, it can be at times not the whole story and might be a lie. So take the time to consider that perhaps you aren't the best expert on your own output. What else would I say while these dogs are harassing my dad's dog, Dabs, who is so patient. He's a big dog, and he is like, I don't need to deal with you clowns. What else would I say? You know, hydrate, but don't just hydrate the day of. I mean, do hydrate the day of, but you want to start hydrating a weekend. You want to start lubing up everything from the inside out. And if you forget this step, you're going to be crying because you think that you're good. You think your songs aren't super hard to sing, but you do each one of those, 8 songs, an average of 5 takes or whatever. That's a lot. And you're going to start feeling it. I like to do ginger tea with honey. I didn't have throat coat tea this time, which is a great old standby, but ginger tea with a shit ton of honey also gets the job done. So do hydrate and think about hydration and think about sleep leading up to your session. Don't just think about the night before, because you need to, one of the things I learned on tour, one of the first tours I did, big long tours, more than a week or whatever tours, I learned that lack of sleep is actually a huge issue for losing your voice. Lack of sleep, weirdly. You'd think that the sleep wouldn't affect your vocal cords, but you want quality sleep. You want a lot of hydration. And, if your pants are a little too tight, you can just unbutton that top button. I did it. That's my other tip. I was like, this song after these tacos for lunch and this particular song, I got to unbutton the top button, and that's okay. So that's my words of wisdom today. Take them, take what works, leave the rest, as they say. And I will catch you next time on another riveting edition of Crusher Talk. And toodaloo. We'll see you soon. Okay, whoops. One more thing. I forgot to mention, we didn't have any Michigan dates for 2026, and now we have 2 dates. So if you are in Michigan, we are playing May 1st for a Star Wars-themed immersive event. We'll be playing in the Alien Cantina, as one does. And March 29th, we'll be playing, that's a Sunday, we'll be playing at Lager House, which will be a bit of a soft launch for our new drummer, Stacy, who I've yet to fully roll out. I feel like I need to give her her own episode after this run with Weasel and our drummer, Ruben, that we're working with. It'll be all Stacy all the time. She's fabulous and has proven herself just to be golden, to be dependable, to be talented, and also a good hang, because we know that's important. Also a Star Wars fan. But this will be sort of a soft launch for her before we go on our run with Stacy in April for the Weasel Queers dates. So we will be playing March 29th with her at the Lager House. I'm not sure what bands we'll have on that bill quite yet. And we will be playing May 1st at, I think they call it Space Dive. It's like a Space Dive bar immersive thing, where everybody's dressed in Star Wars garb. We will be playing May 1st. May the 1st be with you, right? And then as for other dates, I guess I should also mention we are doing a back-to-back punk rock night headlining experience, the Crushers experience, in Louisville on a Friday night, followed by punk rock night in Indianapolis, one of our favorite shows to play ever. And that is going to be coming up in April as well. So go to the website, HayleyandtheCrushers.com. Check that out. We will be adding more dates as we can. I think we're going to try to do a few more Ohio dates. And we have a fun festival to announce that I can't quite announce yet. But I will be letting you know next time. So there you go. There's my boring admin ending, but sometimes you got to do the boring admin. So have fun today, whatever you get up to, whether it's admin or something more fun. We'll see you around the bend.